Just a couple weeks ago, the Senate passed new legislation called H.R. 1815, the VA Home Reform Act. This is going to help veterans in numerous ways, including allowing for partial payments if they get into a jam, and then some other really significant changes, which is extremely helpful in the overhaul for our veterans. So, if you didn't know, 5 of the top reasons to get into a home using a VA loan, if you're a veteran or existing or active military, is remember, the down payment requirement is 0. It doesn't mean that you need no money out of pocket. However, the down payment requirement is 0, which is extremely helpful. The second thing is VA often allows for buyers to buy a home with higher debt-to-income ratios and lower credit scores. On average, you can have a credit score of 620 on up, and then as well as higher debt ratio requirements, making it even easier to be a veteran and to get into a home. The third thing that is often talked about is that there's no PMI insurance. There's no monthly mortgage insurance, which could save you anything from $100 to $300 a month. That is a big benefit for a veteran because that really keeps your payment on a low-level basis. So you just have to worry about your principal and interest payment, taxes, and homeowner's insurance for your total monthly payment. You don't have to worry about any extra fees like PMI insurance. And then there's costs that the veterans don't have to pay. So that's number 4. There are things like the closing fee that a title company or an attorney would charge, and other fees like an application or underwriting fee that is not charged to the veteran. So that is pretty exciting. That can be paid for by the sellers. It can also be paid for by the lender, but not the veteran. And the fourth thing is appraisals are really flexible. I say that because an appraiser can call what's called tidewater, which would allow the buyer, the seller, the agents to supply more market data to that appraiser to justify value. So if they're having trouble coming up with value, you can supply some comparables to help them bring up the value, or you can also, they'll call tidewater, and you can provide those data points before the appraisal's even done. That's pretty remarkable. That's the only type of appraisal that's allowed on. So as you can see, veterans, there are so many benefits to a VA loan. It benefits you greatly to investigate those options. Even if you choose not to utilize that, maybe because you have tons of equity and you want to put a lot down, and you're not a disabled vet, so you still have to pay things like a guarantee fee, it's worth fully investigating with a trusted loan officer such as myself. This is Dawn Connors at Mortgage One, providing you fantastic mortgage solutions.